The video began with static. The shaky view of a dorm room came into focus. Messy, bright posters on the walls, a bed half covered in clothes, and a glowing blue figure sitting awkwardly on the chair. The caption below read, "My alien roommate's first attempt at understanding humanity. Episode 1. Millions clicked on the video, not sure if it was real or fake. But for Ethan, the human behind the camera, this was not a joke. It was his life now. Ethan was an average university student, ordinary grades, average looks, and a bit of debt from his mechanical engineering course. He shared his small apartment near campus with someone who was not from this planet. His roommate's name was Terrell, a being from the Xyron Federation, a race that valued logic above everything. Terrell had been assigned to Earth for a cultural understanding program, an experiment meant to improve relationships between humans and aliens. The problem was, Terrell had no idea how to understand humans. When Terrell first arrived, he had tried to shake Ethan's hand with a metal detector. "Are you a functional biomachine?" he had asked seriously. Ethan had just laughed. "No, dude, I'm just a guy." Since then, life had turned into a series of misunderstandings, experiments, and bizarre moments. Terrell observed humans the way scientists watched bacteria, curious but cautious. He had hundreds of questions written on his glowing tablet like, why do humans smile when they are sad? Why do humans consume beans in liquid form? Why does one human cry over a fictional character? Ethan found the questions both hilarious and endearing. So one night he set up his camera and said, "Let's make a video. Let's show the galaxy what happens when an alien tries to understand humanity." Terrell tilted his head. "You believe this will educate others?" "Maybe not," Ethan grinned. "But it'll be fun." The video recording started the next morning. Terrell was standing in front of the camera, stiff and glowing, faintly blue. "Greetings, inhabitants of the human internet," he said in his monotone voice. "I am Terrell of Xyron. Today I attempt to comprehend the concept of breakfast." Ethan laughed behind the camera. "Just eat the cereal, buddy." Terrell poked the spoon suspiciously into the bowl. "This substance is floating." "It's called milk," Ethan said. "Just try it." Terrell took one bite and froze. His face changed colors from blue to green. "It's sweet." "Why is nourishment pleasant?" "Because we like to enjoy things," Ethan said, still laughing. "Enjoyment?" Terrell blinked. "A secondary emotional reward for biological necessity. Illogical, but fascinating." The comments on the uploaded video exploded within hours. "This has to be the best prank ever. If this is fake, the CGI is insane. I'd totally watch more of this." Ethan smiled. The world loved it. But he knew Terrell wasn't acting. This was real. Over the next few weeks, Terrell continued his research. He filmed himself trying to understand human laughter, art, music, and even friendship. When Ethan played a rock song for him, Terrell sat still, eyes glowing brighter with each beat. "This vibration stimulates emotional resonance," he said softly. "Your kind uses sound to communicate feeling. Fascinating." Another video showed Terrell attempting humor. He stared into the camera and said, "Why did the human cross the road? To escape existential dread." Ethan nearly choked laughing. The internet went wild. Each upload gained millions of views. People started calling Terrell the galaxy's funniest alien. But for Ethan, it wasn't just entertainment. He saw something deeper. Terrell was changing. The alien began smiling, an awkward, unsure smile, but a real one. He asked fewer scientific questions and more emotional ones. One evening, while watching a sunset, Terrell asked, "Ethan, why does your species watch this phenomenon every day?" "Because it reminds us that beautiful things don't last forever," Ethan said. Terrell looked silent for a long time. "We are taught to preserve beauty, not lose it. Perhaps humans are stronger than we think." One day, a message arrived from the Xyron embassy. Terrell's human study period was nearing its end. He had to submit a cultural report and prepare for return transport. That night, the two sat quietly in their messy room. The camera was off for once. Ethan looked down. "So, you're leaving soon, huh?" "Yes," Terrell said. "But I have yet to understand the most complex human behavior of all." Ethan looked up. "What's that?" Terrell turned his glowing eyes toward him. "Connection. You form deep emotional bonds that persist even through distance, time, and death. How do you sustain such connections?" Ethan smiled sadly. "You don't, you just feel them, you remember, you care. That's what makes us human." Terrell stared for a long moment, as if saving every word. Then, "I must attempt this before I depart." The next morning, Terrell surprised Ethan by setting up the camera again. "This," he said, "will be my final recording before departure. I wish to demonstrate what I have learned about humanity." Ethan smiled. "Go for it." Terrell looked directly into the camera lens. His voice trembled slightly, something it had never done before. "I arrived to analyze humans, to measure logic and emotion, but I have discovered that emotion is your logic. You build societies not through precision but through compassion. You risk pain to create connection. You endure loss to experience love. This is not weakness. This is evolution." He paused, and his eyes glowed brighter. "To any who watch this, humanity is not to be studied, where what it is to be felt." The camera clicked off. Later that night, Ethan uploaded the video with the title, "Must Watch Before Deleted: My Alien Roommate's First Attempt at Understanding Humanity." Within hours, it spread across the internet. Comments poured in from every corner of Earth, and even from a few off-world stations. "This alien gets it better than most humans." I cried. "Who taught him that much empathy?" "This video changed how I see us." Ethan didn't reply to any of them. He just sat in the quiet dorm room, staring at the empty chair where Terrell used to sit. The only sign left of his friend was a glowing note on the table, written in Terrell's careful, alien handwriting. "Humans are imperfect, but perfection is boring." Outside the window, the stars shimmered faintly. One of them glowed a little brighter than the rest. Ethan smiled softly. Somewhere out there, Terrell was probably watching too. But what Ethan didn't know, what no one knew, was that Terrell's message had reached far beyond the internet. The Xyron Council had seen the video, and their decision would soon change the future of both worlds. The world had already moved on to new trends, new news, and new distractions. But one video refused to fade. Ethan's upload, "My Alien Roommate's First Attempt at Understanding Humanity," kept spreading like light through darkness. Weeks passed, and the view count climbed past 100 million. People laughed, cried, and argued about whether Terrell had been real or just a brilliant AI. Conspiracy channels claimed it was government propaganda. Others said it was proof that humanity was not alone. But for Ethan, none of that mattered. He just missed his friend. Every night he left the small table lamp on. Terrell had liked the warm color temperature, saying it reminded him of a sun filtered through thick atmosphere. Ethan sometimes caught himself looking toward the empty chair, half expecting that glowing blue figure to appear again, asking questions about coffee or laughter or dreams. One evening, while scrolling through the comments, Ethan noticed something odd. A user with the name Observer Unit 23 had commented on every single video. The messages were short and formal. Transmission confirmed. Behavioral analysis complete. Awaiting further data. At first, he thought it was a fan using a roleplay account, but the messages began appearing at exact intervals and down to the second. Then one night, his laptop flickered. The comment section glitched, replaced by a line of glowing alien text. Ethan froze. It was Xyron script. He quickly ran to his desk drawer, where Terrell had once left a translation crystal, a small prism that could convert alien language to human symbols. He held it over the screen. The words shifted into readable English. "Ethan Ward, I am Envoy Terrell. Do not be alarmed. I have accessed your digital network through permitted diplomatic channels. Your recording has reached the Xyron Council. We require your assistance." Ethan's heart jumped. "Terrell, is that really you?" The reply appeared instantly. "Affirmative. I am communicating from Xyron Orbit Station. The Council has been deeply affected by your documentation of human emotion. They request a continuation, a joint exploration between species. They wish you to come here." Ethan blinked, speechless. "Him? Go to another planet?" He typed with shaking fingers. "You want me to visit your world?" "Yes. Your perspective may redefine our understanding of empathy. The Council needs proof that emotion is not chaos and that it can guide intelligent evolution." Ethan laughed softly. "You told them that?" "You taught me that." The reply glowed. Within a week, everything changed. The UN confirmed receiving a formal invitation from the Xyron Federation for a cultural representative exchange. Scientists, politicians, and media anchors couldn't believe it. And in the middle of it all was Ethan Ward, a broke college student now being called the ambassador of emotion. His professors congratulated him. Reporters followed him everywhere. The internet exploded with new headlines. Human YouTuber invited to alien planet. First civilian exchange in history begins. Ethan barely had time to breathe. Yet inside, he felt the same mix of excitement and fear he'd seen in Tyrell's glowing eyes months ago. On launch day, the Xyron vessel descended silently into Earth's orbit. It was nothing like human spacecraft. No engines, no smoke, just a vast silver shape that rippled like liquid light. A small circular door opened and a voice spoke through his earpiece. "Ethan Ward, welcome aboard the Horizon of Thought. Please remain calm during neural transition." Before he could ask what that meant, a beam of soft light enveloped him. For a heartbeat, the world turned white. Then he was standing in a luminous chamber surrounded by walls that pulsed gently like living crystal. The air shimmered with soft sound, not quite music, not quite hum. And there, waiting for him, was Tyrell. The alien looked almost the same, tall, glowing, calm. But there was something new in his eyes. A warmth. A quiet joy. "Ethan," Tyrell said, voice smooth and clear. "Your arrival confirms my hypothesis. Humans will go anywhere for friendship." Ethan laughed and stepped forward. "Guess you're not wrong." Tyrell extended his hand, not a metal detector this time, but a genuine handshake. The contact sent a faint tingle through Ethan's skin, like static charged with feeling. The alien smiled, a small, careful smile. "Come, the council awaits." The Xyron capital wasn't like anything Ethan had imagined. Cities hung suspended in midair, connected by bridges of light. The sky was a slow ocean of colors shifting from violet to gold. And everywhere, Ethan saw beings like Tyrell, elegant, tall, each glowing faintly in different shades depending on mood or thought. But as they walked through the shining streets, Ethan noticed something strange. No laughter, no shouting, no music. The Xyrons moved with calm precision, communicating through brief, efficient gestures. Everything was perfect and lifeless. Tyrell noticed his expression. "We removed emotional noise centuries ago," he explained quietly. "Conflict decreased. Logic advanced, but so did emptiness." Ethan nodded slowly. "I get it now. That's why they need proof that feelings matter." "Exactly," Tyrell said. "They will test you. Be honest but cautious. Their patience is thin with chaos." Ethan grinned. "Then it's a good thing I'm an expert in chaos." Inside the grand hall, 12 Xyron counselors sat in a half-circle. Their bodies glowed in shades of silver and white, and their faces were calm, almost expressionless. Tyrell bowed. "Honored council, this is Ethan Ward of Earth, the human I studied." A tall counselor leaned forward. "Your recordings reached billions. They display contradiction. Humans value peace but engage in war. They seek truth but embrace illusion. Why should we learn from you?" Ethan took a breath. "Because those contradictions are what make us real," he said simply. "We fall, we fail, but we keep trying. You've built a perfect world, but perfection can't grow. Only imperfection can learn." The chamber fell silent. The counselors exchanged dim pulses of light, their way of whispering. Another asked, "And emotion?" "It clouds reason. How does it serve survival?" Ethan looked at Tyrell, remembering their first breakfast. "Emotion connects reason to purpose. Without it you can survive, but you can't live." For a moment nothing happened. Then one by one the counselors began glowing faintly. Not cold silver, but warm amber. Tyrell whispered, "They are feeling." "It's been centuries since we've seen this hue." Later, in a private chamber, Tyrell and Ethan sat together watching the shifting lights of the alien city. "You did well," Tyrell said softly. "The council will begin a new phase of emotional study, not as experiment but as evolution." Ethan smiled. "Guess your first YouTube series changed more than the internet." Tyrell tilted his head, amused. "There are now millions of Xyrons replaying that video. They analyze every gesture, some even attempt laughing. It is chaotic." Ethan laughed out loud. "Welcome to humanity." But Tyrell's smile faded slightly. "Not everyone agrees. Some believe emotion will destroy our order. They warn that your influence could divide our people." Ethan leaned forward. "You think they'll stop the program?" "I think," Tyrell said quietly, "that someone will try." That night Ethan couldn't sleep. He wandered out to the balcony overlooking the luminous city. The air hummed softly, carrying faint echoes of distant energy flows. For the first time he felt small, a single human standing among the stars. Suddenly his translation crystal vibrated. A new message flickered across its surface. Warning. Emotional interference detected. Human presence unauthorized in restricted sectors. Ethan frowned. What does that mean? Trell appeared beside him, eyes glowing dark blue, the color of concern. It means the opposition has moved faster than expected. Opposition? A faction within the council, the purists. They wish to erase your influence before it spreads. Ethan's stomach tightened. Erase. As in, they intend to remove your recordings from every Xyron network. Terrell interrupted calmly. They call it a cultural reset. If they succeed, everything you've taught them will vanish. Ethan stared out at the city, the lights flickering below. Then we can't let them. Terrell looked at him, the faintest spark of defiance in his glow. Agreed, but defying the council means exile. Possibly more. Ethan grinned slightly, the same grin he'd worn before uploading that first video. Guess we're making part 2 then. Live from Xyron. Terrell's glow brightened, half fear, half admiration. Human impulsiveness. I had almost forgotten its thrill. They looked at each other, silent but united. Above them, the stars shifted. One dimmed, another flared, as if the galaxy itself was holding its breath. The story that had started as a joke video on Earth was now about to ignite something far greater. A rebellion not of weapons, but of understanding. The next morning, the city shimmered in muted gold light, but tension hummed through the air like a low-frequency storm. Ethan paced the balcony, hands tucked into his pockets. Terrell hovered beside him, glowing faint blue, a color that had once meant curiosity now meant determination. The purists have blocked access to several sectors, Terrell said, voice calm but firm. If they succeed, your recordings will be lost from every Xyron archive. Your lessons on humanity, gone. Ethan clenched his fists. Then we broadcast them ourselves. Every network, every device might let the galaxy see what humans really are. Terrell tilted his head. You mean a public declaration? That defies council protocols. Yeah, Ethan said, grin forming. Sounds about right. They moved quickly. Terrell led him to the Horizon of Thought's central communication chamber, a massive crystalline room filled with lenses and panels that seemed to capture light itself. You need to understand, Terrell warned. Purists can intercept any transmission within orbital range. We will need to go beyond conventional space frequencies. Human ingenuity may save us, Ethan thought for a moment. Then he smiled. We already do that every time I post a video online. He grabbed a portable camera, one of the ones he had used on Earth, and held it like a weapon. We make it personal. One broadcast, raw emotion, no edits, no filters. If they block the tech, the heart will still get through. Terrell nodded. Very well. Initiating neural connection sequence. I will amplify your presence across the network while preserving your authenticity. Ethan felt a strange warmth as Terrell's energy brushed against him. His consciousness expanded, flowing into the crystalline panels. He could see not only the city, but the entire planet, the orbiting stations, and the thousands of communication satellites, all points of potential reach. He felt small, tiny, yet also unstoppable. The broadcast began. Ethan's voice echoed across Xyron networks. Greetings to anyone watching. I'm Ethan Ward, human. I came to your world not as a conqueror, not as a savior, but as a friend. The camera captured him, awkward, real, and vulnerable. Terrell hovered beside him, a shimmering blue presence, the perfect translator of emotion into something the Xyrons could comprehend. Your species may be perfect, Ethan continued, but perfection alone does not make life meaningful. Humans live through struggle, failure, and laughter. We connect with others because we care, not because it's efficient, and that makes all the difference. Across the networks, countless Xyrons stopped what they were doing. Those in silver halls, in silent labs, even the purists themselves paused as the words reached them. Simple words carrying something they had never fully felt. Humanity. Terrell's energy flared beside Ethan, translating every nuance of his emotion into glowing pulses that made the crystalline networks shimmer. This wasn't a lecture. This wasn't data. This was life pouring through alien circuitry. Hours passed. Purist systems tried to block the signal, but Ethan's raw humanity, amplified by Tyrell's technology, flowed around every barrier. Soon the council chambers were flooded with glowing light. Even those who had resisted felt an undeniable resonance in their cores. One senior purist, usually cold and detached, stopped pacing. The warmth in his glow shifted from icy silver to soft amber. He whispered to a fellow, "This is not chaos, this is guidance." The broadcast continued. Ethan told stories of laughter, heartbreak, and small acts of courage from Earth. He shared how humans could fail spectacularly, yet rise stronger. How friendship could persist across time and space, and how compassion, even in tiny gestures, could change a world. And everywhere, Xyrons felt it. The perfection they had built began to bend, not in destruction, but in understanding. Finally, Ethan spoke directly to Tyrell. "You wanted to understand humans, right? Well, you get to teach them now. Let them feel what you've learned, not just from me, but from friendship itself." Tyrell's glow shifted through blues, greens, and finally settled in a warm golden hue, one that no Xyron had seen in centuries. "Then I will amplify this lesson. Emotion is not weakness. It is evolution." Together they flooded the networks with Tyrell's final observations, glowing pulses and human words combining into a symphony of insight. Xyron citizens, scientists, and even opposing purists watched, mesmerized. By the end of the transmission, the words had traveled beyond Xyron orbit. Alien ships in nearby systems paused to observe. The broadcast became a universal reminder. Logic alone could never define intelligence. Empathy, connection, and care were equally vital. When the glow finally subsided, Ethan and Tyrell sat together in the empty chamber. Exhaustion weighed on them both, but it was a good exhaustion, the kind that comes from knowing you changed everything. "The council," Tyrell began. "They are debating, but your influence cannot be undone. They cannot erase what has been felt." Ethan nodded, a smile tugging at his lips. "Guess we taught the galaxy a thing or two about humans." Tyrell's glow pulsed softly. "Yes, and I have learned more than any report could have conveyed. Humans are magnificent in imperfection." Ethan laughed quietly. "You've come a long way from cereal and laughter experiments." "And yet," Tyrell said, "my learning is not complete. I wish to continue observing, perhaps as a guest, if you permit." "Of course," Ethan said. "We'll explore this galaxy together. One mistake, one laugh, one lesson at a time." A week later, the Xyron Council reconvened. The debate was fierce. Some still feared emotional contamination, but the majority had seen the undeniable truth in the broadcast. Tyrell addressed them formally. "We have discovered that emotion is not chaos. It is guidance. Humanity survives not despite their feelings, but because of them. Shall we deny ourselves this evolutionary advantage?" The council voted unanimously, not out of rebellion, but out of understanding. The human perspective, amplified by Tyrell's insight, became the foundation of a new cultural program. Xyrons would integrate emotion into their decision-making, blending logic and care to create a society stronger and richer than before. Ethan watched the results on a crystal screen, smiling to himself. One small human voice had changed a planet, maybe even a civilization. Months later, Earth received a surprising message. A new series of videos from Tyrell, documenting his experiences with the Xyrons, the council debates, and the changes sweeping through the alien world. Millions of humans watched in awe as the once cold, precise Xyrons began laughing, singing, and even creating. Art, Ethan, and Tyrell sat in their Earth dorm room, though Tyrell's glow now matched the warm gold of friendship rather than blue of curiosity, reminiscing about their first breakfast. "Together, you see," Ethan said softly. "We didn't just teach them, we reminded them what it means to live. And in doing so," Tyrell replied, "we taught them about hope." Ethan laughed. "I guess humans are contagious that way." Tyrell's glow pulsed warmly. "Perhaps it is our turn to be contagious to others." Across the stars, Ethan looked out the window where stars glimmered like 1,000 eyes watching their next adventure. "Then let's go teach the universe how humans do it. One laugh, one mistake, one connection at a time." And somewhere beyond the edges of the galaxy, other civilizations tuned in, inspired by a single broadcast. A human voice full of warmth and imperfection had reminded countless minds that life was not only to survive, but to feel, connect, and change. The world, and the universe, had shifted. And it all began with a roommate, a camera, and the simple act of trying to understand humanity.